There have been some huge improvements in these AI music platforms.
Beato released a video. Do people want to hear AI music? Can the average listener even tell the difference? We have a much wider spread problem because now you have tens of thousands of AI-generated songs just pouring on a daily basis into music platforms. If you're dabbling right now in AI music creation or you're using AI music, this video is for you. In helping you with your journey, I do have a free legal guide to AI music, and this is what every creator needs to know. It's basically like all the good stuff summarized into one PDF, so that's for you. And then here's the thing. We're going to talk about filing for copyright protection, and if you have music incorporating AI, I have a training for you. Again, totally free. I'll talk about that later on. Now, this channel is dedicated to you and your music career. So if that sounds good, be sure to subscribe and let's go. So Beato released a video entitled, "Will these new AI tools make songwriters irrelevant in 2025?" I clicked yes right away. Now, what Rick had to say may surprise you. So where he kind of started, and I'll play the clip, but where he started is by just kind of summarizing where we're at right now with copyright law. So let's take a quick peek at that.
Hey everybody, I'm Rick Beato. So yesterday, the 2nd of April, the U.S. Copyright Office issued a highly anticipated report on copyrightability of AI-generated works. Essentially, it says that you need to have a human involved. That's one of the things. And the other thing was that a person who translates an idea into a fixed, tangible expression is entitled to copyright protection, but materials created by non-humans, the courts have spoken on the issue and have directly rejected the possibility. So things that are fully generative, like if I make a song, which I'm going to do in one of these platforms like Suno or Udio or Mureka, then these things are not copyrightable.
All right, so Rick's talking about copyright. Think of making a song, rewrite lyrics. You maybe draw a picture because you're going to use that for your cover art. As soon as you make your creative thing, you automatically get this special protection called copyright. And so this means with copyright that you and only you get to copy it, to share it, to sell it. And if someone wants to use your thing, they have to ask you for permission. But really important piece here. You only get these rights if it's human made. So then what's the problem with AI? AI is a robot. So that means that if AI makes your song, you do not have copyright protection. And so that's what Rick just summarized for us. But here's the thing. There are, in fact, 3 exceptions we're going to talk about. So right now, if you're like, I do use AI in the creation of my music, either to make the music entirely or as a tool in what you're doing. Now, the report that Rick referenced is this report that was published by the actual Copyright Office. This is here in the United States, and this was back in January of 2025. So he's actually referencing an article when he said April 2. But in any case, this was following the Copyright Office being like, hey guys, we want all the feedback. We want to know, what do you think about AI? Should AI get copyright protection? And actually, Rick had an opportunity to give some feedback to the Copyright Office, which I thought was so cool. So let's look at that.
When I went to testify in front of Congress at a closed door session on November of 2023, one of my recommendations was that anything that's fully generative AI should not be able to have a copyright. Now, some of my friends have told me there have been some huge improvements in these AI music platforms. That would be Udio, Suno, and this new one we're going to try out today called Mureka. Now, another thing that they've told me is that if I were a country singer, songwriter, that I'd be real worried because it seems like these platforms are really good at mimicking country music. We'll find out. I'm going to actually try out Mureka. We're going to try and write a song in it.
All right. So basically, Rick goes, if something is fully generative AI, then you don't get copyright protection. And the way I like to compare this, I go, if you went to the casino and you go up to one of those slot machines, right? You can pull the lever. You can pick the game. You can pick what casino you go to. But at the end of the day, you don't control the outcome. That's the piece here where the Copyright Office goes, well, if you don't control the final outcome, then the robot, right, the machine is making your creative work. So that's where this disconnect is happening. But now there are, in fact, 3 exceptions to get around the rule. If you're needing legal help, feel free to reach out to Delgado Entertainment Law, which is my firm. We offer free case evaluations with our case managers. So just meaning you don't have to make any kind of commitment. We'll just see how we can help you. Feel free to call us. You can text, you can email. We look forward to hearing from you. So with copyright, we really care about this because it gives you an avenue to get your stuff, not just protected, it's to get additional rights. It's to be able to sue. It's to be able to get what are called statutory damages. So what are the 3 exceptions? Well, what the Copyright Office said is, well, category number 1 is going to be if you use AI as a tool. So if you use AI as part of your process, one example might be we had the Beatles, right? So Paul McCartney decided to use vocals of John Lennon from prior recorded, right? Human made, actually John Lennon, but they used AI to kind of clean up the vocals. So in this case, it was used as a tool, a part of their process of otherwise a human made creation. So category number 1 has to be if you're using AI as a tool. Category number 2 is going to be what they called an expressive input. So think of it this way. If you're on Suno and a lot of the other platforms, you know that you can input inspo, right? So if you have like an instrumental, you have lyrics, you can input something that you actually created, and then the AI will go and expand on it. And in the report, it was pretty cool. They used a few examples, and one of them had been a drawing, and you see this woman's head and there's flowers kind of sprouting out of it. It was pretty simple drawing, and it was put into AI, and then the AI made it hyper realistic, saturated colors, all these things. And this was an example of something that was allowed to proceed to registration, meaning to actually get copyright, right? So again, the category is that if you make in conjunction with AI and you put in your human made stuff, and then the Copyright Office says, well, the ultimate final thing can be protected because there are perceptible human elements, right? So we can see the original design of the lady's head. And so then the 3rd exception, okay, is going to, and this is if you want to be able to get copyright protection for your creative thing using AI. So the 3rd exception is going to be if you're arranging. One of my favorite examples had to do with a comic book. So all of the images in the comic book were made by AI, but the author then took all of the individual images, put it together, made the comic book, and from that, there was minimal originality. So that's the standard the copyright looks at. So by that, you can arrange AI and you may be entitled to copyright. So that's all good stuff. So bottom line for you AI creators, because this is the conversation's evolving from here. So bottom line is that you can get copyright protection, but where you're going to have the biggest problems is if your stuff is fully AI created. So you want to make sure you fall into those categories. Now, it might be a little bit different in different countries. We talked about this in the deep dive that I did on this copyright report. If you want to see that, go check it out. But I did promise, if you do fall in one of these categories and you need to copyright your stuff, I show you how to do this all the way through it, and where you need to disclaim and tell the Copyright Office about your AI components. And so that video is called How to Copyright AI Step by Step. So I got you. It's totally free. Now let's go back to Rick. Rick goes on to ask the question and talk about, do people want to hear AI music? I guess where I kind of went with this, and you guys let me know down in the comments, can the average listener even tell the difference? I think that's a big piece here, because you go, well, do people really want to hear AI music? And I go, well, can they even tell the difference, right? One of the things that came to mind that we've talked about on this channel is, obviously right out the gate, we had that huge viral sensation of Heart on My Sleeve. Do you guys remember this with Drake, The Weeknd? And it was deep fakes of their voices, but original production. What was the producer? Ghostwriter. So in any case, that was a hit song. And so if something's real good and people like it and it's a hit and it goes viral, does the way that it was made matter? If it's AI in part, if it's AI completely, does it matter? So anyway, Rick looks at Suno in his video and Mureka. Now he went through and he was critiquing their outputs, and he's like, the AI songs in general sound pretty good. He gave some critiques. He's like, oh, well, the vocals don't sound super great. They sound just kind of synthetic. I think the country stuff is pretty good. But he did say at the very, very end of his video where he shared this specific thing about, like, do people want to hear AI music? So let's see what he had to say.
I have friends who are like, no way, people are gonna not want to hear stuff that's not human made. I just don't believe that. I don't. I'd love to know your thoughts on this after hearing this stuff.
So I ran to the comment section on Rick's video, and there was a couple that stood out to me, but that's the overarching question. So Rick has his thoughts on it as of now. And for me, I'm like, this goes a little further. The overarching question on Rick's video is whether essentially AI is going to replace songwriters. And for me, I'm like, no, I think the question is songwriters, singers, producers, mixing and mastering engineers. But here were some of the comments that I thought were pretty interesting. So the first commenter said, it's the perfect solution. So meaning AI. AI is the perfect solution to a non-existent problem. How many great songs are uploaded to Bandcamp, SoundCloud, or wherever every day, which no one will ever hear because they don't know they exist. We don't need any more music made by robots. We need people to listen to the music that's already being made by humans. In other words, this person thinks the real problem is getting the right fans to hear our music. Because look, I think what we've talked about is that there really is a saturation issue that was already a problem with the fact that anyone can make music and put it on music platforms. And now we have a much wider spread problem because now you have tens of thousands of AI generated songs just pouring on a daily basis into music platforms. So I thought that was interesting. Another commenter said, let's be honest, the people who will settle for AI music were never the people you were writing music for in the first place. Will people actually be able to tell? Right back to that question. Or here's the thing, is brand part of the solution? For example, if you hear a song that you love and then you go and realize that it's an AI song, even if you liked the song originally, does that ruin it for you? I'm so curious. Please leave your thoughts down below. But if you go and follow the person on social media to build the connection, right? That whole idea of brand. People will take the time, I think, to go and figure it out and to make that connection. All right, and then lastly, another commenter said, the brutal truth is the average consumer isn't a musician, nor cares for the skill or time it takes to write, record, and produce quality sounding music. Their only job is to consume what they like hearing, no matter how it's made. Once again, the artist is shafted. So AKA the average person will not have a trained ear to be able to tell the difference, right? And so that's why I just gave that example. I'm like, I don't know, do people go and check it out? Especially when there's viral songs and especially when things are legally, improperly, without authorization, remixed, mashed up. Do people go and check out the individual songs in those remixes? You know what I'm saying? So those are questions that I have as far as what the general consumer behavior is. Here's the thing. That copyright report that we went through is part 2. There's one more that's coming. Okay, so make sure you subscribe right now because I'll make sure to cover it as soon as it drops. But this is going to be the legal implications of what AI is training on, because that's a huge question right now. Can you legally go and train AI on whatever without getting licenses? We know that people are upset about it. We know that there's lots of lawsuits over this, but the Copyright Office coming back and letting us know what it thinks is going to be nothing short of huge. I'm Top Music Attorney, and I'll see you on the next one.